Pokemon singles, including chase cards, have been dropping pretty rapidly since about February or March. Now we've seen a lot of the big name cards just continue to drop and drop and drop. However, there is one modern card that actually has made an exception to this rule and has continued to climb and climb and climb. I want you guys to put a guess. Don't fast forward. Put a guess in the comments. What card do you think that is? And we'll show that at the end of the video. So make sure you stay tuned to the very end to see which card that is. But overall, you can pretty much throw a dart at a board and hit a card, and they're going to be pretty much down similar percentage-wise on a similar time frame. And I'm going to give you guys a complete market update on kind of what we're seeing across the board when it comes to chase cards. So let's just jump straight into it. And like I said, make sure you put your guess in the comments because that'll be fun to see. Now, this is one we just talked about recently, the Umbreon from Prismatic Evolutions. Now, Prismatic Evolutions had a ton of hype, obviously came out in January. You can see down 26% in the past 3 months. Now, this is a card that pretty much only could go down because it came out, at the gate at release at $1,600, which was absolutely wild. It was rivaling the Moonbreon. So this one's not super surprising that it's come down in value. We are seeing reprints of Prismatic start to hit the shelves, ETB prices starting to come down, more copies entering the market. And a lot of these cards in general that you're going to see are coming down. And this is something that we usually see around the summertime. Singles tend to drop. But this card, interestingly enough, as much as it's dropped, is now being had at $1,000 or under, which is still very expensive. But currently, like lowest listeds, for example, on TCG Player are $1,000 and $985. This isn't the only one, though. We do have some other specific examples. We're going to jump around from both Scarlet and Violet and Sword and Shield for a little bit here. Giratina, alternate art from Lost Origin, one of my favorite cards of the era, Sword and Shield wise. This one's down around 22% in the past 3 months. Now, there is also an important caveat to note. Pretty much with most all of these cards, except for like the Umbreon from Prismatic. If you zoom out right here and you look at the 1 year period, you will see that these cards are still up, right? 31% on the year, specifically for the Giratina. So this is why it shows the importance of not chasing when cards are exploding in price, not FOMOing in to these like rapid price movements, because this is how you get burnt. The Giratina did run up as high as $700, right? And it's down 21% just in the past 3 months. You can see most recent sale around 450. And that is reflected currently in the lowest listed price, but then it kind of comes back up to around 500, which is a little bit below current market. So that is a big drop overall. Hundreds of dollars that we're talking about you losing if you bought at 700 and now it's at 500. So that is rather unfortunate. However, if you were to buy down here when it was at its low of 326, you'd still be looking pretty good. So it's just something, a lesson to be learned when you try not to chase these explosive price growths. Now, a lot of this growth happened like crazy. The market had like a big boom, and it can be hard to predict. Singles are a little more volatile. So that is also just something to keep in mind. You never know when like the singles market is just going to go crazy. And now we're seeing obviously a cool off period. But if this card settles at a higher low, then obviously that shows some really good strength for the card, like long term. Then you do have other examples of like a newer card that comes out, and Journey Together kind of unfortunately released at a bad time, I think, in my opinion. And this is another example of kind of a card that could only go down, but this one's been hit real hard. 55% down from 326 down to 145 currently, and there's a lot of copies of this one available, so this one's not a big surprise either, really. But it is a nice looking card. Like, I do like Clefairy, and I do think that this is a fun card, but it was and is still too expensive in my opinion. I would need this card to come down quite a bit for me to consider purchasing it as a single. Now, that being said, there's a lot of people who do like Clefairy, and I definitely have been purchasing this card. So current lowest listed, continuing to drop. So this is what I'm talking about. Actually, this seller right here, I do apologize. This seller right here, just keep in mind, if it pops up on a few listings, they're currently a fake account. They're trying to tank the price. So keep in mind, Trees TC, do not buy from them. I looked into that. So we're going to say right here at around 142, which is just barely below the current market. So just coming down a little bit more. But these cards like this and some other ones probably going to continue to drop into the summer. And then you also have your other big dogs like the Gengar VMAX from Fusion Strike. Now this is going to be doing a similar thing to the Giratina that we saw earlier. You can see it's not down as bad the last 3 months, right? 14%. It's kind of found a little bit of a bottom. There's obviously a lot of strength and desire around owning this card. So it's a pretty iconic card. People do love this card. So it kind of has bottomed out since May. It's slowed down the bleeding around $580. But if we zoom out, the peak was right here, $744 down to around $580. So still pretty massive drop-offs, but overall the card's looking pretty solid. 70% on the year. So if as long as you didn't buy on this crazy peak, you're doing pretty well. A year ago, this was a $300 card. So very massive growth. If it bottoms out, the new low ends up being anywhere in this price, even in the $400 range. That's still some good growth overall. So that's currently what we're seeing as far as the Gengar goes. Then Crown Zenith seeing similar things as well. The Giratina Gold Star here, absolutely stunning card. This one's down 20%, similar numbers in the past 3 months. You zoom out right here, it's up a little bit on the 6 month, but this was as high as around 215, and now we're seeing market around 161. So not as crazy of a drop, but this card it didn't run up to, in the $700 range. So there wasn't as much room for it to drop. But if you zoom out right here, this was a sub $100 card before its run in the 90s. So going from 90 to 215 was a pretty big jump. So it just wasn't able to sustain those prices into the summertime. And you can see this is the one that has the most current supply available. 162 copies currently available. And lowest listed's right now around 145, 150, which looks like is below the current market price. So looks like this is one that's continuing to drop at least a little bit for the time being. So that's another one that we're seeing right here, continuing to drop. Now, real quickly, before we go any further, I just wanted to real quickly talk about the sponsor of today's video, which is PokeNotify. PokeNotify is a notification service, a Discord server, essentially, that can send notifications straight to your phone for wherever you live, wherever you buy your cards, whether it's Pokemon Center, Best Buy, Walmart, Target, wherever drops are happening, you can be notified straight to your phone. Now, it's not a guarantee that you're going to necessarily get the product, but it does give you the best chance to hit restocks online. And I personally have had success with PokeNotify, and you don't have to take my word for it. They have a whole review section and success channel with thousands of people that tell their story for products that they've hit. So you can check out the reviews and try it completely free for 3 days. They have a 3-day free trial, so you can try it out. And if you don't like it, you can always cancel. There is a link in the description if you want to sign up, and a discount code as well. So make sure you're using that link and that discount code to try it out. It's just something I use personally. Bots and scalpers are at an all-time high. So you got to have the best chance at hitting some of these drops. But let's get back to the singles here. Then we have the Mew from Paldean Fates. And also keep in mind, we will be, make sure you stay tuned to the end, because I want to talk about that card, just reminding you, the card that is bucking the trend of all of these. Then you have the Bubble Mew, right? Extremely iconic card of the era. Lots of people absolutely love this card. They go crazy for this card. This one's been hit pretty hard as well. It's only down 16% in the past 3 months, but it was as high as $421. So a pretty big drop from 420 down to under 300 now. But this is another one of those classic examples. If you look at the 1 year, this card's doing extremely well, right? It was an $80 card a year ago. So the Bubble Mew is doing very, very well overall, 247% on the year. Arguably one of the best 1 year charts. And you can see it did have a run up in December and then cooled back down, right? It went up to 300, cooled back down to 260, and then up to 420, and now we're back down to 290, which is the lowest it's been since about January. But, you know, continuing just to drop and drop and drop right now. Lowest listed, once again, ignore this seller. These are fake listings. 290 is the lowest current price right now, which does match market. So 290, that seems like maybe this is going to hold. We'll see. Once again, summer is going to be a little bit longer. These are going to continue to drop as time goes on. So just keep that in mind with all of these cards. Then you have, we have to talk about it. This one's held up very well. The Umbreon from Evolving Skies, but it is down, and that's why it is worth mentioning as well. You can see the 1 month chart, it's only down 8%, 1600 down to around 1500. The 3 month chart's actually up just a little, almost 2%. 6 month chart up around 8%, and the 1 year massive gains, obviously. So this one hasn't really tanked like some of the other ones. Obviously, this is extremely iconic and people love this card. So this one has been holding up pretty well. All things considered, lowest listed is currently around 1400. So there's always exceptions, but this one still has been dropping. You know, an 8% drop when you have a card that's this expensive, you know, going from 1600 to now 1400, that is a substantial, you know, hundreds of dollars we're talking about when it comes to a card this expensive. So it's not immune to it by any means, but percentage wise, it really hasn't dropped that much comparatively. Then you have something like the Lugia from Silver Tempest. This one, very nice looking chase card. This one's looking pretty good on the 3 month, only down 9%. Only it's slowed down in the past month, down not even 2%, and it's up on the 6 month chart. So this one hasn't really dropped that much, from 300 down to 260. So currently holding up very well. Lowest listeds are in the 250s and 260s, just a little bit below current market. So it looks like it's continuing to drop, maybe a little bit, but that's how we're seeing the Lugia holding up pretty well, and that's not super surprising. But still dropping, still continuing the trend. You have the Charizard from 151. You're going to see a similar thing here as well. This one did run up a little bit later to around, on the 6 month chart, it's down 11%. It ran up in late February, early March to just under 300. And there were some sales at the $300 mark at the time. But in the past 3 months, it's dropped pretty heavily, 27%, and continuing to drop almost 6% in the past month. But there's just a large supply of this currently available. 300 copies currently listed on TCG. So it's just kind of a recipe for the prices to come down when you have a large supply. And you're seeing kind of this summer slowdown when it comes to singles. Once again, ignore this seller. This is a fake listing. 185 and 188, which is right here at current market. So this 138 is fake. So looks like market it at least is holding this for the time being. So we'll have to see. This one does look good still overall on the 1 year chart. So keep that in mind, up 61%. But yeah, that's why you don't chase these highs. That's the biggest lesson that you can take away from it. And we're almost there. We're almost to the end. So just bear with me, a few more cards. Surging Sparks Pikachu, another one that's been getting, this one's been getting pretty decimated pretty hard percentage wise. You can see it's down 38% in the past 6 months. And, you know, this one is kind of similar to me as the Clefairy card from Journey Together. Not that I don't like this card, but at this price, like especially back here in January, $485, I was not even thinking about touching this card. Just way too expensive. And this is one that came, so this came out the gate. You can see this is one that's down on the 1 year, down 5%. It was $300 upon release, and then it shot up to around 500, and it's come down pretty big, obviously at all-time lows here, in the high 200s. But I just couldn't justify, with the Surging Sparks hype, I could never justify this price. It just seemed way too excessive for me. And this price for this Pikachu would still have to come down even more for me to want to purchase it. I think there's other better looking Pikachus that I like as far as art goes. So that I would rather spend my money on that are much more affordable. So, but yeah, it's been leveling off more recently in the 280, 290 range. So we'll see if it continues to hold at that price. Lowest listed's 277. So maybe dropping slowly, a little bit more slowly, continuing to drop on the Pikachu. Then the Greninja, dropping 25% in the past 3 months. This is the first card that really ran up pretty big, over the $300 mark for the Scarlet and Violet era. So it's kind of a big deal that this one's come down finally. But it was almost $400 back in March, and now we're seeing sub 300 for the Frog King here, 286, lowest listed around $285. And then this is the last one before the reveal of the card. Now, obviously, this set just came out, okay? But this is just why you don't, and the Mewtwo is moving, okay? But this is why you don't buy this card at $450 out the gate. Generally, you don't want to buy cards right when they come out. It just usually doesn't end up well. But this card, it did drop down into the 300s. There were some sales in the 200s, upper 200s, and then it shot back up. So it's holding like currently upper 300s, which is interesting. And you can see that reflected right here, 360 and up into the upper 300s for lowest listings. But this one, I just included it because I do like Destined Rivals, but it's too early to really get any data from this, but it's just fun to look at. And then let's make sure your guesses are in. Here's your last chance. Modern card. Here it is. This is the one that, now keep in mind too that Team Up, it's definitely of a little bit of a different time, not printed as much, right? Team Up, it's totally different, but it is a modern card. And you can see, let's check this out. This one is just bucking the trend, but there's not that many sales that happen. It's a very rare card, but very iconic, obviously. Up 26% in the past 3 months, continuing to climb. The Latios and Latios Lovebirds card. 3 months ago it was at $1,500. Now we're seeing it at $2,000. And the 1 month chart, slowly climbing in the past month, up 5%. And you can see just one sale in the past month. The 6 month chart up 90%, right? 6 month snapshot, 17 items sold. So not that many being sold. The 1 year chart, 157% up. A year ago, this was a $700 card. Now we're at $2,000. Only 37 sold in the year. And check this out, lowest listeds are at 2,400. So the next one that sells on here will be a big jump, and they're continuing to go up, with the highest listeds being at $2,800. So there obviously are exceptions to every rule, and I just thought that that was interesting because I hadn't checked in on this card in a while. Right, we have talked about quite a few of these other chase cards more recently, but I hadn't checked in on the Lovebirds card to see how much it was moving. It's kind of something that currently out of my price range. I wouldn't want to spend this much money on a single card. Not that I wouldn't mind owning it, but for me, I have other stuff I would be rather picking up with $2,000 or $2,400 at this point. So if you had that on your bingo card, congratulations. That was a really good guess. But just every time frame that you look on this card, it's just continuing to set all-time highs slowly but steadily. And then, like I said, this is of a different time, of a different era. Still modern, but the amount that this card was printed, the amount of these in existence, the set and everything, just not really the same and not fully comparable. But there are exceptions to every rule. So I just wanted to do a little bit of an update video regarding all of the cards that have been dropping, because it looks like we're going to continue to see these chase cards and singles across the board continue to drop into the summertime. It is kind of, while we are riding the Destined Rivals hype and then the Black and White hype and other stuff moving forward into the summer, it's just a cool off time. People are doing other things. Kids are going on vacation, summer vacation. People are spending money elsewhere. So the hobby usually sees a cool off time. Things start ramping up around October, and then November, right before Christmas. We should see things start to ramp back up. Traditionally, that's what we see. So keep an eye out for that. But it was just a little market update for you guys. Not everyone follows the market you know, as closely. So it's nice just to, I do know that a lot of people just listen to these videos because I do post daily. So it's nice just to get, for you guys. I know I get a lot of comments saying, oh, perfect. I'm at work or whatever, and I like to listen to it. So, hadn't touched on this topic of stuff in about a month, I think, ish, or close to a month of some of these chase cards and how much they've dropped. So some of them definitely slowing down, but some of them continuing to decline depending. So I think it gives a wide variety of kind of what most people are looking at for modern chase cards. Also, let me know if there's something I missed that you want me to cover next time. But that's all I have for this one, guys. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. And remember, it was never a phase.